Hello and welcome to Rajya Sabha Television. You're watching The Big Picture with me, Rausan Pereira. With the Election Commission announcing the dates of the upcoming polls in Karnataka on Tuesday, the already electric poll environment has only intensified. The Congress government led by Siddaramaiah is hoping to stave off a strong challenge by the Yediyurappa-led BJP. The Chief Minister will also be trying to beat the statistical odds in the state, with no incumbent government retaining power in elections in Karnataka since 1985. So the race for Karnataka is well and truly on. The state goes to polls on May 12th and results will be out 3 days later on May 15th. The three main players in the fray are the ruling Congress, BJP and JDS. BJP will be fighting to regain its South Citadel. Congress will be looking to retain its only remaining big state, and JDS has a chance to play kingmaker in case of a hung assembly. On this edition of The Big Picture, we will analyze what's at stake in the battle for Karnataka. Joining me on the program today are Nistula, Hebbar, political editor of The Hindu; Sachidananda Murthy, resident editor of The Week; Smita, Prakash, editor ANI; and RK Mishra, Chief Minister's Vision Group for Bangalore. Thank you to all my guests for joining me on this edition of The Big Picture. Smita, Prakash, I'd like to begin with you, of course. What's at stake for the leading political parties in Karnataka in these elections?
Let's begin with the Congress. You know, the grand old party has to desperately win this state because it's the last, the only major state in which they are in power. And there's an anti-incumbency factor. Some may say that it doesn't exist. But the fact is that Karnataka has had cyclic, governments which have come to power. So, other than Mr. Hegde, when he was chief minister and he was voted back to power, no chief minister has been voted back to power. So, Siddaramaiah is facing that issue. And Rahul Gandhi desperately, as president, needs to have a win. When they go into polls in 2019, they need to show that they have something that they have won and come. Just winning by-elections is a different matter. Winning a major state is something that they need to do, that they have to do. So for the Congress, that is the issue. Now let's come to the BJP. For the BJP, they go to every election with the intention of winning. They don't see it as yet another state. Every state is a do-or-die situation where they have to win. Now, you see, they have, there's a googly which is being given to them, when it comes to this whole Lingayat issue, this Siddaramaiah turning around and saying, giving the minority status. So for them to go into polls with Yediyurappa, a Lingayat, whom they had thought that automatically the Lingayat who traditionally voted for them will automatically vote because of Yediyurappa. Now comes the issue that with this googly that has been thrown in, now what to do? Do they again go with Yediyurappa as the CM candidate and everything about Yediyurappa? Or do they bring in the tried and tested thing, which is bring Modi in to campaign, because his campaign speeches are fabulous. So, and they have won election after election based on the Modi charisma. So bring Modi in. So it's really for both the parties. It's something that it's a crucial battle for both of them.
Okay, Mr. Sachidananda Murthy, as far as the BJP is concerned, the whole Lingayat card that Siddaramaiah has played, some are calling it a masterstroke, but it could possibly backfire as well. And, there's always the Modi factor as far as the BJP is concerned. Will Modi's magic work in Karnataka? And also a word on the Lingayat issue.
If you go back to the 2014 Lok Sabha elections, the only two states where the Hindi or variants of Hindi are not spoken, apart from Gujarati in Gujarat, where the BJP did well were Karnataka and Assam. It didn't do well where Bengali is spoken, where Telugu is spoken, where Tamil or Malayalam, and of course Marathi, because there's a very this thing of Hindi there, Devanagari and all that. So he has to replicate that magic, because they won 17 Lok Sabha seats out of 28 then. And that also happened because two of the breakaway factions of the BJP, one led by Yediyurappa, another led by B. Sriramulu, had come back to the fold. In fact, both Yediyurappa and Sriramulu were given Lok Sabha tickets and they won. So this is now a united BJP which faces. But yes, the Lingayat issue is a very critical one now for BJP. As you have seen from the reports last 2 days, Amit Shah was in Karnataka. He went to various Lingayat mutts, met the pontiffs there, tried to tell them, give us your blessing, give blessing to Yediyurappa as the chief minister, because he is one of yours. He is neither a Veerashaiva nor a Lingayat, but he is Veerashaiva Lingayat. He represents both the groups, which one wants reservation as a minority reservation, another doesn't want. But then please bless him, then we'll take care of it. So he's trying to put the whole issue on the back burner and try to accuse the Congress. So, but then how do the Lingayats and the Veerashaivas at the grassroots behave? Because they have been out of power for 5 years. The previous 5 years, under 3 BJP chief ministers, they had dominated the state.
Yes.
So they had lost political power. Now, because of this issue, will they forsake it? Will they, but also the other thing was, when the BJP won the elections in 2008, it was also the sympathy factor, because Yediyurappa had been denied a chance to become chief minister by the JDS. So there were a lot of other issues which had come. Now that sympathy factor is not there.
Sure.
I mean, there's a lot of allegations that he's a jailbird and that his tenure was very corrupt and all that. So there's a bit of anti-incumbency even for Yediyurappa. So the Lingayat issue is only one of the many things with the BJP
sure,
has to confront.
we'll talk about the other issues as well at length in the next round of questions. But before that, let me go across to R.K. Mishra, who's the chief minister's, who's a member of the chief minister's vision group for Bangalore. Dr. Mishra, as far as the Congress party is concerned, Smita Prakash said that, this is a big election as far as the Congress is concerned, because this is the last big state that the Congress is in power in the country. So is it a do or die election for the Congress in Karnataka?
I think it's do and die both for Congress and BJP. As you rightly said, the first major election after Rahul Gandhi becoming the president of the party. And if this election where Congress has a government, and if they end up losing it, I think there will be almost the end game for the Congress. Despite the best efforts by the Rahul Gandhi, he still has to prove himself on the ballot paper whether he is truly the leader which Congress needs to revive itself, because Congress has been in decline for quite some time. Now, as far as BJP is concerned, this is the only place where BJP has significant presence in any of the states in South India, starting from Telangana, Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, Kerala. They are not present. So if the BJP has to prove that Modi and Mishra can do a magic beyond Hindi belt, I think this is their chance. And the situation is not simple for either party. With the Lingayat issue coming up, I think Yediyurappa is not the strongest leader, given that his background and whatever corruption charges were against him. It is really a tough job. And biggest issue is, you mentioned that whether Modi magic will work. Please keep in mind, it's not a Hindi-speaking state. Our Prime Minister is amazing speaker, is a great orator, but issue is he speaks in Hindi. Will Karnataka understand? Will Karnataka be motivated by those speeches? Well, time will tell. So I really believe it is actually the most important election for both the parties for reasons which are very crucial to either party, because BJP cannot win Karnataka. I think them calling All India Party, Pan India Party is in question.
Okay, it's a crucial election for both the major parties is what you're suggesting. Let's talk about the third party now, Nistula, Hebbar. As far as the JDS is concerned, the JDS is just hoping that it's a hung parliament because they want to play kingmaker yet again. What are the JDS's chances this time around?
Well, the JDS has been up to some very interesting stuff, actually. First, they've announced a tie-up with BSP, Mayawati's BSP. BSP will be fighting 20 seats out of the total number of assembly seats that the JDS is fighting. Plus, they've also been in talks with Sharad Pawar, and there was some talk that he would be fighting some 3 or 4 seats in northern Karnataka and some of the Marathi-speaking belt of the state. This is a thing that would discomfort the Congress, because it would directly be cutting into, say, some of the Dalit votes or some backward classes votes, which normally would go to the Congress in the areas where the BSP will be fighting. Now, on the face of it, BSP is not a player. It's not a player at all in Karnataka. Nobody's heard of it much. But please don't forget that in Gujarat, Congress lost at least 12 seats because the NCP and the BSP cut into those. They had candidates who cut into those votes, and the margin of difference was just equal to in those seats equal to the votes polled by the NCP and the BSP candidates. So this is a very smart sort of tie-up that the Devegowda JDS has done, which is what has prompted Rahul Gandhi, to lash out and say that, the JDS is nothing better than the B team of the BJP or the Sangh Parivar, and that to vote for the JDS would be tantamount to voting for the BJP, so the Karnataka voters better beware. Having said that, the JDS is usually confined to southern Karnataka, to the old Mysore area, where they compete for the Vokkaliga vote with the Congress, and don't have that much of a presence in the rest of the state. So they are kind of hoping that in the situation where there would be, say, maybe Congress would be the single largest, or whichever party comes out ahead, they would need the help of the JDS to form a government, which is what they did earlier on with the BJP, which Sachidananda Murthy ji referred to in the past, where they had a coalition government. H.D. Kumaraswamy was chief minister first, and when it was time to give over the chief ministership to B.S. Yediyurappa, he reneged on that agreement, and there were subsequent elections, and the BJP got re-elected. So the JDS hopes to sit pretty and poll, say, close to 40 or more than 40 seats, which would make it pretty much the party to go to if you want to form the government.
Sure. Smita, Prakash, in the case or in the eventuality of in the case where there is a hung assembly in Karnataka, whom do you see the JDS going with? Is it the BJP or the Congress?
Yeah, it's anybody's guess, because while Ms. Hebbar quite rightly said that, JDS is would love to play the role of kingmaker, and everybody knows that Devegowda is somebody who's like, he's a survivor if nothing else, and nobody really knows which way he will swing. And calling him the B team of the BJP, I don't know why there was any need to say that before the polls, because you never know, the Congress might need Mr. Devegowda after the elections, even if it is not before the elections. Having said that, I also feel that, what Sachi was saying, about the language factor, that is also going to be extremely important, because right now the BJP looks a little confused as to what its strategy is. While it is banking upon Yediyurappa, or it banked upon Yediyurappa because of the Lingayat factor and the fact that between 14% to 17% is the Lingayat vote, and they thought that is bankable completely. But now with all this happening with the Lingayat issue, you never know. So if they rely on Modi factor, and Modi not being a Kannada speaker, what can happen is that Siddaramaiah could turn around and do the same thing which Mr. Hegde did with Rajiv Gandhi. With Rajiv Gandhi, when he was going and campaigning out there, and he was a fantastic, he had this charisma at that period. There was this Rajiv Gandhi wave at that time. And Hegde turned around and told his people and told Kannadigas that, okay, fine, I have nothing against Rajiv Gandhi, but what is the point in you voting for Rajiv Gandhi, because he's not going to be the chief minister out here. So it's the same thing which Siddaramaiah in his Kannada is going to be telling his people, that I have nothing against Mr. Modi, go vote for him if you want to, but he's not coming and sitting here as CM, so think about it. So, that is going to be a major factor which could, to maybe not nullify, but maybe mute the Modi factor when it comes to Karnataka elections. So in that state, suppose the BJP decides to take Devegowda and his troop on stage and be there as openly supporting, that might be an X factor which nobody knows.
Bring into the picture now and take the discussion a little forward. As far as national implications are concerned, what national implications are these elections going to have?
I think this is, sort of a quarter-final, one could say. Because this whole year, 2018, barring the northeastern states and parts of Karnataka, it is a direct fight between the Congress and the BJP. So the states from Gujarat onwards, it was BJP. So that means for BJP, Gujarat was a sort of victory, yet it was not a complete victory. It scraped through that election. Now Karnataka, if they can win Karnataka, then they will be reversing a certain trend which has been happening, and that they are still the masters of the situation, and they can go with more confidence to the elections this winter in central and western India. So that is the very critical for BJP, that they also, as Mr. Mishra said, to be a pan-Indian party, you have to have one southern state in a kitty. They've done well in the east and northeast. So, but then how do they do this? So Karnataka is very crucial for them. Yeah, Congress, yes, there's this thing that last 6 to 8 months, even the media has been much more kinder to the Congress than it was earlier, because they think that Rahul Gandhi has turned a new leaf and that his acceptance levels have gone up, or maybe his outreach has been much better. So for them, and yet if it like Gujarat, it happens so near it so far, then the confidence levels will dip for the semi-finals in the winter. So it's very critical for them that they have to win. And also this is also an ideological test for the Congress, because Siddaramaiah has gone for extreme welfareism. I mean, Modi talks of development. Modi says, I'll complete all the projects in time, I'll see to it that there's an infrastructure, I'll do the highways, other things. Siddaramaiah in the last 4.5 to 5 years has gone for extreme welfareism. On the day he was sworn in, he said, I'm giving almost virtually free rice to people. And he gave so many concessions to his core constituency. So I think this is again a challenge, welfare versus development, which will win in this election.
Sure.
And thirdly, what Smita said about Kannada. Siddaramaiah has been pushing a very, very strong Kannada pride agenda, or even Kannada chauvinist agenda, about a separate flag for Karnataka, promoting Kannada, then telling everybody you must learn Kannada if you want to survive here. And so that's also, so how does the, and Kannadigas are quite proud, because if you remember, there was a huge agitation in 1982 to save Kannada, and then that led to the overthrow of the Gundurao government in 1983.
Sure.
So these are also issues which are there.
You know, Dr. Mishra, what are the other issues? You know, what do you think are the factors that are going to influence the polls this time around?
I'd also like to ask Dr. Mishra.
Yeah, sure.
I think
He's in charge of Dr. Mishra.
No, let him complete and then you can ask.
Karnataka is not a homogeneous state. Bangalore is having its unique, equation with the political parties. Actually, Karnataka is very interesting because you have Hyderabad Karnataka, you have Mumbai Karnataka, you have coastal Karnataka, then you have South Karnataka, and each are very unique. So, for example, Marathi-speaking Karnataka may have a different dimension, given that JDS is tying up. I don't think it will have much impact, though. The issues, I think, in Karnataka are simple. Karnataka, look at Bangalore; it is one of the richest, highest per capita income city. But go to North Karnataka, it is as poor as any, one of the, states in North India. So welfareism works very well in most of the Karnataka region, except South Karnataka as well as the coastal Karnataka. So I think Siddaramaiah using this Lingayat card, using this welfare, and I think a lot of work which he has done in rural Karnataka with this water irrigation and this food, all this have really worked very well for the poor. Now, as far as Bangalore is concerned, of course, people are very unhappy because of the infrastructure has not been done, which was not done by the BJP, nor has been done by the Congress to the extent people wanted. Bangalore is the fastest growing city. So I don't think there is a single issue as far as development is concerned. Issue will be about personalities.
Okay.
Are people going to go put faith in Siddaramaiah, or they are going to put faith in Modi, whose proxy here is, Yedurappa. So I think it's a very complicated election, as Mr. Murthy said, that if you do not win Karnataka, whether it is for BJP or Congress, it's going to be a really difficult semi-finals, which is in winter, and then of course 2019. So I think both parties are doing do or die effort, and they better get Karnataka right. My real worry is being hung assembly, same repeat of JDS playing poker. Then GDS trying to blackmail the party which he aligns with. I think that's a real tragedy for Bangalore and Karnataka.
You know, Nistula, taking the point forward that Dr. Mishra made about the personalities, we know who the chief ministerial candidates are going to be for all the three major parties. How do they compare against each other?
That's a very unfair question to ask, because that's not a question that I need to answer. That's the question everybody is asking the people of Karnataka. But one thing is there that, Siddaramaiah as chief minister, he has been the most un-Congress-like chief minister that the Congress probably has. If you recall, during the 2013 elections, he was very, very open and frank. In fact, he had given me an interview where he declared very openly that I know that the Congress hasn't declared a chief ministerial candidate, but I'd like to put myself forward as one. And he was very clear about the fact that he was angling for that seat. Secondly, the CLP meeting that happened after the elections, after they had won the elections, for the first time, I think, in a long, long time, the Congress actually saw a CLP meeting which was a secret ballot to elect the chief minister from among the MLAs. Normally, CLP meetings are just, 2-minute affairs where the entire CLP says, okay, we empower the Congress president to pick out one amongst us to be the chief minister, and that's it. But this time round, he won it, and he won it on the strength of his own numbers, and therefore his strength in terms of negotiating with Delhi was that much stronger. As Sachidananda Murthy said, the path that he has followed in terms of his policies has been extremely focused on his constituency and on welfare economics. So he has carved that position for himself. Mr. Yediyurappa, on the other hand, unfortunately starts out with a handicap of having, had massive corruption allegations against him and not having come out very well in the last time that he was chief minister. So if you're going to compare his record of governance with Siddaramaiah, that is a non-starter. That's not going to get you anywhere. On the other hand, unlike a lot of BJP leaders, he has a lot of support in the rural belt. And during his chief ministerialship, a lot of money and funds were sent to North Karnataka, which is not a very prosperous part of the state. So both these chief ministerial candidates are very untypical of their parties. And therefore, their facing off is extremely interesting. Mr. H.D. Kumaraswamy, the third person in the fray, who might, with the turn of the dice, he could manage to enter Vidhan Saudha as its head. He has been a fairly popular chief minister when he was there. I mean, we didn't see a lot of resentment against him. He was welcomed when he started that coalition government with Mr. Yediyurappa. I myself had met him several times, and he had started this entire plan of visiting villages, staying overnight, and reaching out to people and things like that. But he's always remained in the rather large shadow of his father.
Sure.
And the rather wily and balancing on a tripwire kind of politics that Mr. Deve Gowda follows when it comes to alliances, when it comes to making friends, making enemies, etc. So when you look at these three people, you have to look at them as very, very atypical sort of politicians for their parties, and very, very typical for the contest that it has thrown.
Indeed. All right. Taking the discussion forward now, Sachidananda Murthy, but before that, very well put, Nistula. Mr. Murthy, as far as the urban and rural divide is concerned, is there a major urban and rural divide in Karnataka, and how do you believe that the parties are going to address the problems of both these constituencies?
In Karnataka, out of the 224 constituencies, I would say about 40 to 45 are pure urban constituencies. Some more, about 20-25, are partly urban, but mainly rural. The rest are pure rural. So the election patterns have shown that Bangalore city, which has the largest number of seats in any district, so Bangalore has sometimes preferred the non-Congress opposition parties for a long time. But in the last Lok Sabha election, it was honors were even between the BJP and the Congress. So the Congress had clawed back its way, maybe due to the division in BJP and other reasons. So, but in rural Karnataka, issues are different. As Mr. Mishra rightly said, Bangalore people complain about infrastructure, about the cost of living, water. I mean, water, road, everything. Till about 2-3 years ago, there was a big complaint about availability of electricity and all that. But whereas in rural Karnataka, the issues are different: livelihood, farmers' issues, farm labor issues, then access to good education and health. All these issues are there. And again, Karnataka is a land of 6 regions. Whereas if we go to the coastal Karnataka, which is much more developed than rest of the, even the rural areas are better developed. So that there it's much more, religion is the issue. Religion, Hindu-Muslim divide is much stronger, whereas in other places caste plays a big role. And in rural Karnataka, caste is very important.
Sure. That's a point I want to take forward with Dr. Mishra. How big a factor is caste going to be in this assembly election, Dr. Mishra?
I think people talk about UP and Bihar as being a caste-driven politics. I think Karnataka tops the list. Karnataka is completely and totally driven by caste. I'm not saying it's good or bad, but exactly it is. People, Mrs. Dharamaiya is promoting his caste, which using Ahinda, Kuruba, and the likes. Congress essentially was trying to divide, though they call it religion, but it can be called as a major caste factor, which is Lingayat. So I think caste and religion. Of course, coastal Karnataka is very much on the religious lines, Hindu and Muslim tensions. Surprisingly, I never understood why there is such a huge divide. And even among educated folks, this Hindu-Muslim divide in coastal Karnataka is amazing. So Karnataka, I think caste and religion plays much more important role than I have seen in any other state. North Indian states have the caste-based parties, but then you saw what happened to BJP in these elections. They managed the caste, and then OBC party, SP, and Dalit party, BSP were routed. But Karnataka is very, very amazing, and I think what I hear from people, they go booth by booth and home by home, verifying the caste and making sure those people vote on those caste lines.
All right, caste is going to be a major issue is what you're suggesting. I'm going to get one quick closing comment from Nistula before I wrap up the program. How do you see things panning out in the days to come?
Well, I'm waiting for April 27th, which is the last date for scrutiny and closing of nominations. I think candidates are going to be extremely important in this election, especially because of the Lingayat issue and fielding of BSP and other candidates and things like that. There are going to be all sorts of tricks played, rebel candidates and those kind of things that are happening, because these are important elections for both parties, specifically for the Congress. So I'm not going to call it right now at all for anybody.
I don't think anyone can call it at the moment. But
And we should wait at least till April 27 to kind of firm up our view, and then 15th of May for certainly for
Yeah, independents and rebels are also important.
Totally. So you have to wait.
Sure. All right. On that note, then we'll call it a wrap on this edition of The Big Picture. I'd like to thank all my guests for joining me on the program and putting things into perspective for us. What's coming out of this debate is that it's likely to be a welfare versus development issue in Karnataka. Candidates are going to be key, is what the panelists are suggesting. Caste and religion is also something that we need to watch out for. That's it on this edition of The Big Picture. See you again next time.